Good afternoon. My name is Abdiel Rodriguez, and the debate topic that I would like to discuss with you today is whether or not a company should legally be required, should legally be allowed to fire an employee for their social media activity. I am taking the stance that yes, they are allowed to do so. The companies are legally allowed to discipline or fire an employee who shows misconduct using social media. Now, in 2015, there was a group of bank employees. They were employed by the HSCB Bank company. And what these men did, they decided to post a video on the internet of them gathered in a semicircle, dressed all in black and wearing ski masks. Another one of their co-workers was not wearing a ski mask and was dressed in orange in front of them. These men then pretended to execute this other man using a toy knife. And essentially they were just mocking an ISIS execution. This was wildly inoffensive. And as soon as the HSCB Bank found out about this, they terminated the men immediately. They fired them. And I believe they had every right to do so. That was wildly inappropriate and wild. Not necessarily related to their work at the bank. It shows just how rude they are as members of society, and the bank should not associate with people like that. There have been a lot of other cases. Many celebrities have tweeted online racist or homophobic or any sort of insulting comment, and then the companies have cut ties with them. Disney cut ties with James Gunn for a while for his tweets 10 years prior to the day they cut ties with him. And for most of these scenarios, the companies have every right. Now, one of the main problems that this debate question tackles is whether or not companies are legally allowed to do this, and I believe they are. The first problem we should tackle here is the First Amendment. The First Amendment does guarantee right of free speech, but that is not necessarily directed at private companies. That is directed to the government and to police, essentially. This is to protect the person from getting arrested or any other sort of government issue based on what they say online. This has nothing to do with a company. This has nothing to do with the way a company looks at a person's social media activity. Essentially, the First Amendment doesn't need to be considered in this debate. It doesn't apply. Next, I want to look at other policies that are specifically targeted towards employee social media use. One of these comes from the National Labor Relations Board. The National Labor Relations Board does protect employees from a specific type of conduct on social media. If they want to use social media to try and improve their life in the workplace, if they get together with other employees and try and make a complaint on social media that will improve their life in the workplace, something that has a positive effect on their job, this is perfectly allowed. It's perfectly acceptable. Now, the National Labor Relations Board protects this. However, they do not protect just standard complaints or insults towards someone's boss, something that is unproductive. If an employee just wants to rant or vent online in a negative or rude manner, they are not protected by federal policies regarding social media use, and companies have every right to take discipline or to fire that person for what they write or what they say online. And if a company states that they look for social media, if a company says this beforehand, if that's one of their policies, then employees should be wary of this beforehand. And if they violate this, then they shouldn't place the blame on a company. For example, I would like to read to you a quote that Best Buy has, one of their policies on social media use by employees. It says, "Remember, your responsibility to Best Buy doesn't end when you are off the clock. For that reason, this applies to both company-sponsored social media and personal use as it relates to Best Buy." What this means is, Best Buy doesn't see their employees as their employees only when they are working. The company wants to know that you're also a stand-up citizen. I mean, that's one of the reasons they hired their employees in the first place. They don't have prior experience at that company usually. They need to base their hiring off something else, off what they have done in the real world. And social media is just an extension of the real world. Not only do companies see negative content on social media as wrong, companies see it as just a normal misconduct. It's not different because they're on social media. It's the same as if they were to stand in the office and shout across the room whatever they just said on social media, and it's just as rude. I believe the internet should be seen as a platform. Basically, it should be seen as an extension of a normal conversation, a way to have a normal conversation from a distance, especially in times like this where everyone has to stay home. There's no reason to view what someone says on social media differently than if they were to say it right in front of your face. And policies, laws seem to agree with this in terms of the way a company treats a person based on what they say on social media. I believe that no matter where you say something, you should be prepared to face its consequences as if you were right there in the workplace. Thank you for your time.